The book Artist Way is really about the artist in you. It is about the self reflection, it is about how you feel about various things in your life, and therefore, I think the most important part of completing the Artist Way program is to know yourself, to be yourself, like this one. Welcome to the final update of the Artist Way, week 12, and here I'm going to recap my entire experience. If you want to look at the individual weeks, then you also have those videos from week 1 to week 11. This is the final week, and hopefully you have enjoyed the journey. If you like what you see in these videos, please subscribe to this channel. I will be bringing in more updates on various life hacks that I have found useful for myself. So final week, I think the number one aspect of the Artist Way and the overall aspect of being able to live your best life and to produce the best part of yourself in your work, whether it is creative work or even non-creative work. I believe every work is creative. Even if you are a chartered accountant or a lawyer, there is a big degree of creativity involved. If it wasn't creative, machines would be doing it. So any work that requires human intervention is bound to be creative, is bound to have your individual stamp on it. And from that perspective, I feel one of the best aspects of the Artist Way is getting back in touch with yourself and knowing who you are, and it happens in a very indirect fashion. So essentially it's about self-love and self-expression. The morning pages, I have been able to do this regularly pretty much since the time I started this program. There hasn't been a single day that I have missed doing the morning pages. There have been occasions when I have done the morning pages in the evening or in the afternoon, but I have made sure that the morning pages happen first thing in the morning, because that's when you don't have any distractions, and that's when you are at your best. Your mind is getting into a flow of things, and I also found that doing the morning pages first thing in the morning is the fastest way of doing them. So if I'm writing them like I did today, after waking up immediately, then I can write those 3 pages in pretty much about 20-25 minutes. But if I get into various other activities and then I start to write the morning pages after maybe an hour of waking up, then what happens typically is my mind is distracted. I'm already thinking of various things I need to do, and I actually end up taking a lot of breaks in between while writing those 3 pages. So it typically would take 45 minutes to 1 hour sometimes in the worst case scenario. So get your morning pages done first thing in the morning. You get the best output out of that. So that has been my first recap of these 12 weeks, is to do morning pages every single day. I may not have done other activities as regularly as I would have wanted to. I did many of those activities. Julia recommends you do at least 50% of the activities and prioritize activities that you find are the most difficult ones, because those are the activities where you need the most intervention and most attention. I may not have done those activities 100%, but I still did at least 50% of the activities that Julia mentioned in the book. And what I intend to do is go back again and read the book again, probably do the morning pages 12 program again, but may not be in the same structured fashion. I will probably do it at my own pace, but I definitely intend to go back and do the activities, especially the activities that I did not do in the first instance. I intend to go back and do them all over again. That is my plan for the next 3 months. I will continue to do the morning pages because they have been extremely helpful. They have been able to provide me the clarity that I needed to prioritize things that matter to me. They brought a bit of discipline also in my work, and they provided the much needed peace that I wanted. It definitely gives you a more of a structured approach to what matters to you and what doesn't matter to you, so you can focus on those things. And I think one of the things that Julia probably doesn't mention in the book as often, but she does mention it I think in one of the videos, is that morning pages are your active meditation. So people who struggle to do meditation, people who can't sit down and focus on their breathing, for example, morning pages is a godsend for them. Just sit down, start writing about your previous day, about how you want your next day to be. There is absolutely no structure to it. I am part of a writers group, and I mentioned to them that morning pages definitely helped me, but also the self-care routine in the book that Julia talks about, that helped me a lot as well. If it wasn't for the self-care routine and other stuff, other exercises, my morning pages would have been just a rant, and which is true. If I was, I have done journaling before, and if I was approaching morning pages just like journaling, then they would most likely be likely be a rant. And I sometimes can get into a spiral where a negative thought comes into my mind. I write it down in the journal, and then that feeds into second negative thought and third negative thought, and my entire journal can become negative. That was not the case because I was focusing on self-care, and therefore my journal was not a rant. However, a couple of comments that I got on that writers group is that it is okay for the morning pages to be a rant, because there is no prescription of what the morning pages should contain. You are simply sitting down and writing, and it could very well be a rant. And that has been the experience of a few people who have been doing morning pages in my group, and it is perfectly all right. So maybe 60%, 70% of the people do find their morning pages to be like a teenager's diary, as one person called it, more like a rant, and that is perfectly all right. In my case specifically, I did not want the morning pages to be 100% rant. Yes, I know there are 40-50% of the time they are a rant, but I wanted them to be more constructive as well, because that's just how I am. If I had seen morning pages becoming a rant, more of a negative recording of my thoughts, then I would have probably discontinued them. So it was my intention to keep them as constructive as possible, because what you write in those pages, I feel, typically become your focus areas. So yes, I feel they can be a rant sometimes, and they cannot be. In my case, I wanted them to be like 50% rant, probably 50% constructive, because from those rants is where the constructive work happens, the constructive thoughts come. So it has been a combination for me, but there is no prescription there as such. See what works for you and go as per that flow. The second aspect of morning pages is that you will find a routine that you're following. It's a specific program that you're focused on, and that itself gives you a lot of commitment. I had recommended morning pages to someone else who did not read the book but who was only doing the morning pages, and he wasn't able to keep up the morning routine. So I guess that's an important lesson, that unless and until you have read the book, probably the morning pages may not make sense, and that book will only talk to you when you are ready. As they say, a teacher appears when the student is ready. I think the same thing is with a book as well. So if you're ready, then the book will appear and will make sense. I have seen that I have probably read the same book at different times of my life, and they have given me different insights. So you have to be ready for the book, and you have to be ready for the morning pages. Without that, I don't think you can make much progress with the morning pages. The next aspect of the Artist's Way book is about knowing yourself better and focusing on yourself, various activities, exercises that are meant to provide you that view of knowing yourself. Can seem like selfish activities to some people, and it may seem like we are prioritizing ourselves so much that you probably are ignoring other people's priorities, and that's a normal, I think, view to have when you're doing it for the first time. But the way I see it is that actually you are able to provide better attention to people, focus on other activities better when you are better focused on yourself, because then you know yourself better, and with that aspect of knowing yourself better will also help you to know others better, and because the quality of life that you will be leading, because you're focusing on yourself, will be so much better, that your interactions with others will also improve. That has been my experience. So yes, in some cases the artist way may feel like it is a selfish activity, but you got to do that selfish activity so that you can improve the quality of your interactions with others, and that will actually give better experience to everyone. The other aspect of morning pages is that, or the artist way actually, the book is that uh, it is a misnomer. Actually, you don't get misguided by the name, the artist way. You might think it is for the artist, it is for the creative people. Of course, it is for the creative people. It is written with the creative people in mind. But I believe that everyone is creative. You know, a chartered accountant, a lawyer, a data analyst, all those jobs are creative. If they were not creative, they would have been done by machines. So any job that can be done by machine, obviously, is likely to be mechanical. But any job that cannot be replaced by machine, which requires human intervention, will require some level of creativity. And if your role is one of those roles, which I'm sure 99% of the people will fall into that category, then I would consider you to be a creative person, an artist. And for you, the artist way book is really good. uh, Reason I say that is because the artist way book actually puts you back in touch with yourself, and that probably sounds a cliche. You would say that, you know, of course I know myself, but the reality is, and that's from the personal experience, the reality is that we don't really know ourselves as well as we think we do. And therefore, a book like The Artist Way helps us get back in touch with ourselves. What actually happens is, if you see all the animals, birds, all the other species, they are born with the skills they need to survive and to procreate, to pass on their genes, and to continue their species forward. Only in humans we go through an extended set of education, 15 to 20 years of education, because we all live in a man-made society, in a man-made structure, a community which is not really natural to us as species, and for that you need that education. Now what happens, because you go through such an extended period of education, is that you lose touch with yourself, you lose touch with your basic instincts. There are signages everywhere to tell you what to do. There are people who tell you what to do. There are cops, there are customs officials, there are parents, there are teachers, there are traffic lights on the road. Every 10 seconds of your life you're constantly told what to do, so you're not really relying on your instinct as such, and that's where you kind of lose touch with yourself, who you are, and you're driven by societal expectations, definitions of what people think is success, and so on and so forth. And therefore, to, you know, center yourself back to your core, you need a book like The Artist Way. Now I'm not saying that The Artist Way will 100% put you back in touch with yourself, but I'm pretty sure based on personal experience that it will at least help a big set of people. Which brings me to the next point, that what you get out of this book will depend on what you put into it. It is just like a job or a college education, that the output is based on the input you put into it. So different people may get different benefits from the program and may have different experiences, which is perfectly fine. That's how the program is designed to be anyway. So I think that is the other aspect of the morning pages and the artist way, is as it is designed to put you back in touch with yourself. What you get will depend on what you put into it, and that brings me to the next point, and potentially the final point, that is, take this program seriously. Don't read the book as a book, read it like a workshop. It has a 12-week structure. Follow that structure as closely as possible. Don't give yourself leeway to break from the program in between. Once you start, you should be able to go through that program, and it is not that difficult. It probably requires, you know, a couple of hours of weekend commitment, and maybe roughly 1 hour of commitment every day of the week. So you're probably looking at about 10 to 12 hours of commitment in a week. So keep that time aside. uh, Best to keep that time in the first thing in the morning. It works very well, because then there are no other distractions. But do follow the program as closely as possible without break. Be consistent. I went through a lot of personal challenges during those 12 weeks. There was sickness, there was travel, there were personal change of circumstances, and so on and so forth, which did require my attention. But I did not take a break from the program. Yes, my engagement may have been weaker on some days than on other days. So there was fluctuation on how committed I was, and that definitely did impact the experience. But the bottom line still remained that I continued with that program as much as possible, without giving myself any leeway or any excuse to stop and take a break. I think that is probably the final point I would make about this program: is stay committed, continue with it. There will be self-doubts. Some of the journey might be difficult, but it is meant to be difficult, because you're experiencing something for the first time in most cases, and whatever number of years of life you spent, it would be difficult, and it is meant to be difficult, which is perfectly fine. Some moments would be enjoyable, so you do enjoy those moments as well. So keep that also in mind when you're going through this program. And that's how I will recap the program. Number one is the morning pages should be done first thing in the morning. Once you wake up, your mind is fresh. Do that. It is active form of meditation. Second is, it is about self-care. So do those activities and invest in yourself. That investment will not only pay for the activities and for the projects and programs and aspirations and dreams you have for yourself, but it will also improve your engagement with others, and overall the quality of your relationships will also improve. The third thing is, the book is not only for the artist, it is for anyone who wants to center back to their core. Maybe you will read first few pages and you may think the book is not for you. Perfectly fine. Drop the idea, keep the book away. You don't really have to force yourself through it. As they say, the teacher appears when the student is ready. So when you're ready, the book will call out to you. So keep that also in mind. Fourthly, the book is not just for artists, it is for any person who wants to get back in touch with himself. It is for all creative people, and I believe every one of us is creative. So use that book to help yourself. And the last aspect is, do it religiously. Once you think it is for you, do it with full commitment, and do keep yourself accountable. One of the reasons why I'm doing these videos is to keep myself accountable to the program, and it definitely helped me. I knew that I had to publish a video every Sunday, and for that I had to keep a journal to record my progress as well, which I did, and that helped also. Or you can probably get help of a friend to keep yourself accountable, whatever works for you, but have some aspect of accountability to your program. All the best, guys. I will wrap it up here. I'll be starting another series very soon on some of the life hacks that have worked for me. If you really like what you hear, do subscribe to this channel, and do write in your comments what worked for you, what did not work for you, or if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to help. All the best. Enjoy.